you're all kind of like pushed by this void. It like folds itself and kind of like slumps you out of the tower as you hear this horrible screech of and this shit-covered tentacle monster with huge wings and eyes taken from the folklore of all your cultures arises from the center of the tower and begins flapping huge leathery wings carrying its ridiculous 200-foot human-like form. You just get a glimpse of its bare ass in the moonlight as the crimson moon, the blood of Yule, fuels the rage of this monster creature as it just begins. You hear screams from the town as it descends.
We're terrorizing these people, not saving them. We're doing the exact opposite.
And all you hear, you see fires start to sprout up amongst the buildings, screaming. The pyramid, you see the temple gets like knocked over. Hundreds of robed skeletons start clawing at the feet of this great beast. The disciples pour into the fray. Their combat mages weaving spells and battling with bladed staffs, and you're all just witnessing this abomination, this horror from a distance.
One thing that Dumbledore would like to add is if anyone would like to get a little action, we can also jump down there and take out some skeletons.
I equip my professions.
I say I strap my bow on my back and proceed down the halls through the doors. Who's with me?
He seems like he's doing a fine job on his own.
I just want a little bit of action. See, yeah, it makes me a little bit jealous. The good coin that I could come across.
It's very well endowed.
Alright, so you pour into the fray.
Do you know that?
As you enter the town, things are burning. People are sprinting out of their houses with pitchforks and torches. People are grabbing their children.
Too, or are we just
No, you're just you.
Okay, that's fine.
Alright.
Hi, John.
Dumbledore sprints out in a frenzy, readying his bow as he jumps between two cogs bouncing off two walls, and he readies his bow and shoots it into a skeleton's head, knocking it off his body.
Your arrow misses narrowly as it goes through the skeleton's eye socket and out an open hole in the back of its skull.
It's still enough force to actually push it off of his body.
That's fine. It picks up its head and puts it back on, and then screeches a hollow skeleton screech. And then a pack of skeletons start sprinting towards you, their fingers horribly misshapen to try to form claws, the only weapons they could muster.
Oh yeah, they don't have any weapons.
The skeleton, there's about 10 skeletons rushing towards you. Here's the scene. Let's try. There's the pit, the pyramid. Here's Dumbledore from the town. Here's the giant monster with wings and tentacles and horns and shit. And then here's you, and you got 10 skeletons just bum rushing you. And the rest of the party's like over here.
You came outside with me. Help me.
The skeletons descend upon you and start ripping into your flesh with their claws. You're getting Night of the Living Deaded as they just start tearing at you.
Dumbledore pulls out his dagger and starts swiping, making a path so he can get up.
You're able to narrowly escape crawling under a cart like Glenn from that shitty season of Walking Dead.
Oh my god.
And the skeletons are clawing under, trying to grab at you, trying to pull you out and rip you to shreds. One of them manages to hook a loop on your belt and starts pulling you, dragging you out from under the safety of the cart. It's your action.
Casually flip my coin to see what's gonna happen.
As the coin flips into the air, Rory, your action.
I'm gonna run over and start
Flip the coin.
destroying skeletons.
Which ones?
The ones that are attacking him.
Alright,
The
they're
ones
all
surrounding the cart, so I'm just...
they're all on the ground, so you're able to just start stomping and mashing the
heads.
skeletons.
Dumbledore was not prepared for this. I thank you, good sir, for your actions.
You're able to stomp the heads of 3 skeletons, but the other 7 managed to pull him out from under the cart.
Oh,
What'd you get?
got a heads.
Come on.
So that's good, right?
Ah. As you stomp on the skeletons, you hear a horrible squawking sound as the great beast you constructed dissolves into a pile equal mass of penguins. 200 feet of human flesh, wings, tentacles, and horrible demon eyes dissolves into just a mountainous pile of Arctic birds. The penguins are toppling over each other, using their bellies to slide down the mountain of their own brethren as they just pancake you into the town center. Hundreds of penguins scattering around your feet, all different varieties and species. Some not even of this earth. Hundreds, so many penguins. Thousands.
Jesus.
Alex, your action.
I might even say millions of penguins.
Millions of penguins.
This world is full of penguins now, and we don't have the climate to sustain them. They're going to die, and it's going to smell bad.
So he did destroy the temple, though.
No,
He
it's just
destroyed
smothered with penguins.
part of the pyramid, but he has not done anything about the pit, and now it's a pile of penguins.
Hey,
Shake my
like
fist at the sky.
Damn you! Change it back.
when we
Yeah, the coin.
when we go try to throw those penguins in that hole.
You're right. He's right.
Alex,
Try hurting the penguins.
how are you going to hurt the penguin? As the pile pancakes, penguins start pouring into the hole, but they need to be funneled more. You need to block off the sides of buildings. How are you going to funnel this mountain of penguins to fill the hole?
But they're still like, is it still Nazu? So it's
It
still
is-
like attacking people. Like
So
the
we
mages?
Yes.
Nasu
Nasu,
into
go in
pieces
the
of
hole.
penguins.
Got some penguins just slapping the legs of these
Upon
skeletons.
yelling-
Which one are you? Nasu!
Upon hearing that, a hush falls over the squawking as all the penguins turn to you, and then do a little nod. And hundreds of penguins begin belly sliding towards the hole, piling in, filling up the depths of Yama's work. And you hear the shout of the Simon, the man in the hole, and he goes, "No!" and is buried in a sea of penguins. Skeletons are attacking though, and also you see John, the leader of the disciples. He has a bladed staff. Behind him are two more heavily armored disciples of Yama, and they single you out in the crowd for being responsible for this somehow.
Him?
No, he pointed at you.
No, you. You
Us
two.
two?
Yeah.
Well, now Dumbledore
Because
has
you
gotten
near
us
him,
into a
and he's the one
pickle.
who shouted at the penguins.
You boned us.
All the penguins looked at you and then nodded. They had a really clear image of who was responsible.
I looked at the one that changed the name to.
Wait, but he's the one who turned into penguins.
Then they turned to you. They
So aren't they
charged
single him
forward.
out?
Yes, there's three of them. That's why I said they.
Can I
they
take my sword and just kind of...
Yes.
Take him away, penguins.
The penguins are all pouring into the hole. Skeletons are clawing at you. They
Alex
start
didn't- Alex
ripping
didn't
up
get a
your
turn.
tunic,
Alex didn't get a
ripping
turn.
through your cloth armor.
Alex didn't get a turn.
Alex, do
It
something.
hasn't happened yet.
Alex, do something. Anything.
Shoot John.
I don't know.
Because he has a staff and he's trying to also fight us.
Or save Dexter from skeletons.
Please save me.
I'm gonna come up and just fucking slash these skeletons. I'm gonna
Slash these skeletons
Slash.
straight across.
I have like burning buildings. There's probably a big
The
long
weed with
stick
the sword.
somewhere, and I'm just gonna pick it up and start smashing skeletons apart.
All right.
You're gonna beat skeletons with skeletons?
Yeah, I could do that too. If
Attempting
there's
to
big spine
improvise
legs
a
in the
burning
back.
plank of wood or metal to start ramming the skeletons. It burns your hands as you grab this flaming hunk, searing your flesh. Your hands are now unusable as second degree burns rot away your flesh.
It's like just
God
another
damn
day
it,
in
our
blacksmith
Mexican.
work.
All right.
We're all fucked.
Colton's turn.
So, who's charging after me?
Actually, it's Dexter's turn.
Dexter's turn. Skeletons are clawing at you.
We already did that.
They're
You're gonna kill me
still
more.
clawing.
So
Hold it.
fuck. What happened? What
Yeah,
happened with me? I know he killed
You're
like three
under a
of them.
cart. He killed three
I'm under a
skeletons.
cart.
They pulled you by your belt out and they're ripping apart your cloth armor, trying to get at your supple elven flesh.
So I take their arms and I pull it off and I beat one of them with it, and then I come around and I take my blade and I just stab him right through the skull, taking a couple, few of them.
You're
And
able to
makes-
rip off the arm of the skeleton, bashing its head, but as you pull your blade, it's stuck in the ribcage of another skeleton, which twists, yanking the blade from your hand.
But can't I just use that skeleton and beat the other skeletons?
Well, you don't.
The blade
You
is
just
gone.
have an arm.
That's tight.
The blade is not that far away. It's just in a skeleton, like 2
That's
feet
not
from you.
arrows.
Yeah, I do, but it's close quarters.
Evan, your
Just try
turn.
punching
Two of the skeletons turn on you, seeing
Good.
that obviously they would.
Pull my dick
And
out
then
of the skeleton.
more skeletons pour out of the broken, shattered pyramid, arming themselves for battle with pieces of wood that they can pick up because their skeletal hands cannot be burned.
I didn't say I picked up a flaming piece of wood. I said, hey, you know this building is falling apart.
It was just pretty hot.
It was just pretty hot. It was lukewarm.
I'm
The
gonna
blacksmith does not have very good
use
skin.
my shield to bash one skeleton in, and then lop off the other one's head with my sword.
I ran so cool to this just to get fucked up.
You successfully shield bash, shattering the skeleton, but your swing of your blade misses its mark and cuts just the open part that would have cut a neck open if the skeleton had neck flesh.
Still got it though.
Colton,
That would have been a kill.
John and 2 of the disciples of Yama are upon you. One of them uses his magic to lift you off the ground, and you can see him miming that he's trying to rip you apart as you feel your sternum starts to compress and irk as he tries to separate your ribs and just rip you in half.
I'm going to take my kopesh, which is an ancient Egyptian sword, fun fact, and I'm going to throw it at him and impale him through the chest.
It's not a throwing weapon.
It is not a throwing weapon. And yet you throw it! Just not very well. Hurling the kopesh through the agony of you being torn apart, it just kind of clatters to the ground, cutting at the guy's leg, and he just goes like, oh. And then keeps ripping you apart. Another one leaps into the air with inhuman abilities, defying gravity as he plummets towards you, spear in hand, ready to impale you. But
Alright,
able to
Sekou.
interrupt this. Alex, it's your turn.
Use
Your
my
hands are
amulet.
seared.
Use me.
You use your amulet, breaking the spell that is ripping Colton to pieces. You drop to the ground, a relief as you can breathe again.
Doesn't that save everyone?
It saves
it-
them from magical
Does it work
effects.
on-
Yeah, so
Torn apart by skeletons is not really a magical effect.
Now,
No,
so you're going
it's
to
not.
turn back into the giant demon and just be stuck in the hole?
Nasu is penguins.
Yeah, but
what if
it's
my-
just reverse magic?
yeah, can my effect work on the spirit?
Oh
Question.
shit.
'Cause I mean, it did work in the tavern.
Yeah, alright. You reverting Nasu back to his raw energy state. Now he's in the same pit as Yama, and the two energies begin to clash. You see a huge blue beam, like that Avengers movie, bursting from the pit.
Or like Tron?
Or any movie with a blue beam. It's very common.
Really
Is
hyped
it?
up anime.
Yes. Yeah,
Jump
you
in
hear
there.
crackling, lightning starts to strike around the town as a storm envelops. A tornado begins forming around the pit as these two primal entities clash.
I know about bad weather.
Dexter, I believe it's your
Have a
turn.
seat.
It's skeletons.
Yeah, skeletons are still attacking me.
Fucking you up. One of them claws
What?
and rips out one of your precious elfin eyes with its hook-like meaty hands. Screaming in pain, you lose some of your keen elfin
Jesus
senses.
fucking Christ!
Which
I'm
is-
not making this story.
Which is your favorite eye?
I mean, I already have a scar going down my right eye, so I would say my
So-
left eye.
So you might as well just lose the right one then?
I want to lose the left one.
So you can still aim?
Yes, now I can still aim.
The skeleton seems to take heed to your preference, maybe as a storytelling device, and it rips out your left eye.
So I take the knife that's in the other skeleton and I use them to ram the other skeletons to the ground as I use the arm to smack another skeleton.
You fail horrifically,
Fuck.
fumbling around with your lack of eye.
God damn it, I should have good depth perception.
Horribly missing the depth perception, you swipe, failing to grab your knife, and then throw yourself into the cart.
I can clearly see no one gives a shit about me in this story. Thanks, Evan.
I'm trying to save you!
Evan! You're watching your friend. The skeleton looks at you,
Also bring my
putting in
knife
his
back.
eye.
Thanks, bro.
What?
Now the skeleton has your friend's eye. It comically puts it in its head, almost as a fuck you, and then dives into combat with its fierce skeletal claws. It's a critical hit. It rips and starts slashing up your face.
I'm gonna
Your scars all over your face now.
We're both ugly.
Gonna shield bash him out of the way.
Orcs are always
Go
ugly.
grab Dexter by the collar of his shirt and yank him out of there.
It's a critical success.
Thank you.
Smash the
Thank
skeleton
you.
to pieces. Hopping on the cart, you grab him by the scruff of his collar and hoist the small elf and his safety. You can place him wherever you like, or just toss him as he nimbly rolls into a good
I
position.
am
on my
sticking to my bow.
You
Because
throw him
I
onto
barely
your
use my dagger.
shoulders, turning. You now have a tower on top of a cart in which you have a sword and shield, and on top of you is a tiny elf with a bow. The skeletons
We have
form.
made a siege tower.
The skeletons form a circle around the tower, hesitant to attack as they realize
Am I
that
on
you've
your
made
shoulder?
a really good move.
Am I on your shoulder?
Yeah.
So Dumbledore pulls out his bow and he aims at the two skeletons that are right behind him. He shoots for right in the middle at the skeleton right in the middle. Yeah,
Shooting
at his head.
between the two skeletons?
At the skeleton in the middle. I'm aiming at both because I'm really fucked up. But I end up shooting
Oh, but
one.
you aim in the middle so
Yeah.
that your depth perception corrects the shot.
Yeah, so that way
Your
I end up hitting
astute
one.
knowledge of having one eye allows you.
Hey, I adapt quickly in various situations.
You're able to improvise, adapt, and overcome as you crush the skeleton's head with a giant fucking arrow.
Yes.
The skeleton topples, lifeless, more lifeless than it already was. Colton, the cultist is charging at you with his spear. He's landed, missing his shot in the air, but he's still ready to impale you. The other cultists are casting another spell in the background. You can see they're channeling their magic for something big.
Do I flip my coin or do I just fucking whack him?
Just whap him.
I'm
The
gonna
coin
whap
has
him
done
with my
nothing
bow
but
staff.
bad things.
Whap him in the fucking skull with my bow staff.
You whap John in the face with a bow staff. You hit him super hard and he goes, whoa!
I feel like John right now is the biggest threat.
He turns back in kind of that like, oh, you think you got me look? But you can tell by one of the veins in his otherwise white eyes that you've dislocated his eyeball as it bobs gently around in his head.
We're all losing eyeballs today. That's fine. At least I'm not the only one.
Yeah, he's clearly bloodied, but he's furious and he swipes at you with his staff, his bladed staff. And he cuts, what kind of armor are you wearing?
I've got... What's the other side? I've just got like some regular leather armor.
He easily cuts through the leather armor with the addition of a psionic magic, cutting through you like warm butter, or
Wow.
soft butter with a warm knife. He cuts open your belly and you can see your entrails starting to spill as you bleed.
That's not good.
Alex, it's your turn! Your hands are on fire!
I am going to get them out.
They're, I mean, just
You're
like
gonna pee on it?
figuratively on fire. Like they just like it hurts
Yeah.
a lot.
Since it wasn't like actual fire you touched.
I'm gonna grab my pistol and fire it at John's face.
You try to grab your pistol, but your burning hands, it's like that scene in Django where you're at the end of the original one, the Italian one, where you're fiddling with the pistol. You have a huge deficit to your aim. You could hit Colton. Do you still take the shot?
Better not hit Sergey.
Sergey's guts are already spilling out.
Knowing
Sergey's
my
gonna flip his coin and see what happens.
abilities, I take the shot.
And you strike true! Despite your burnt and mangled hands, you're quickly able to let off a shot, popping John right in his already dislocated eyeball, dislocating it further, but also dislocating his brain. He crumples lifelessly to the ground.
Nice.
Wait, what happened?
You
John
just
died.
murdered John
Tight.
with a gun, which leads us to Siege Tower Skeleton Crew, buds.
Yeah.
The skeletons start trying to rock the cart, hoping to make you lose your balance. But Rorig's nimble footing, or no, your nimble footing and Rorig's just huge fucking weight anchors you.
His
Allowing you to stay
305
steady.
pounds of Rorig.
Yes. It's your move.
I used my perception to scan the area, see if I can use anything to my advantage to kill off some of the majority of the skeletons.
You find whatever you think you're looking for. What is it?
You find a bunch, you find some peculiarly placed barrels inside of a cart, and you can just, one arrow dislodges that thing, and
I would
all
say
the barrels would fall out.
for by some buildings, there's a loose rock that will make the building fall on them. Or maybe like the roof will fall up.
Amazingly.
Because of all of the damage that's happening because of that Whatever monster we created.
Yeah, the monster dislodged a building, leaving it supported by one tiny, conveniently target-sized thing. It even looks like a bullseye.
I don't want to say a bullseye, but I mean it looks like a bullseye to me.
Do you take the shot?
I take the shot.
And you succeed easily.
Yes.
You're elven. You've adjusted quickly because you realize that you aim with one eye anyway. So
My
it's-
perception is the same.
If anything, it's just like you're aiming all the time.
So I'm just gonna keep getting better and better.
You shoot the bullseye and the roof collapses. The building somehow collapses perfectly around the cart, burying the skeletons in rubble. Rorig has to maintain his balance, but he does it easily because he's heavier than the building was.
Damn, Rory,
That's
start hitting
a
the
light
gym, buddy.
building.
You're standing as the three little pigs' house of straw crumbles around the skeletons,
At least we're
burying them.
alive.
Yeah.
You now sit in a pile of rubble, coughing on the dust as the bones of skeletons are buried beneath your feet.
Thank you for the help, sir. I deeply appreciate it.
The two other cultists finish casting the spell they've been casting this whole time uninterrupted.
Forgot about them. Oh, whoops.
I thought about firing at them, but I kind of forgot.
Can I
Oh man.
run over
They-
to them and try to interrupt them?
Too late. They've been doing it the whole time. They lift up.
Shocker.
They lift up the support beams of the now burning tavern, lifting what seems like the entire tavern with a magical energy, and literally just move it on top of Colton.
Oh boy.
Dude,
I-
this
can
kid's
I take an
fucking
action
lighting people
first?
on fire.
You
over
can
here.
attempt to dodge or roll out of the way or brace yourself in some manner,
I'm
or
gonna,
you
like,
can.
Hold my
Coin.
You can
entrails.
see where you
Okay.
singed my hair.
Like scurry out of the way.
Alright. Scurrying with entrails, you fail as you dive
God
towards the edge of the
damn.
building, and the entire tavern plummets, covering Colton in a pile of rubble.
Goodbye, friend.
It'll probably hold in his innards.
Yeah.
You can't tell, you from the outside cannot tell what happens because whether or not he was hit by a support beam or just buried under the rubble, conveniently alive, like in Spider-Man.
Can I flip my coin underneath the rubble?
You are unconscious as you're knocked out by the
Bushfire.
giant fall of rubble.
Double-
Definitely
the new
bleeding.
one.
Dumbledore checks to see how far away these
I'm gonna-
conjurers are.
Gonna start running towards the conjurers with Dumbledore still on my back, maintaining the siege
Okay,
tower.
I can't see them anymore.
No, we're running towards them.
Yeah, we're running towards them. I'm facing this way.
No, you're just on my like.
Oh,
on
I'm
my
just on your
shoulders.
back, so
No,
you
he's
like a
been-
piggyback ride.
Yeah. He was
Oh, fuck
straddling
yeah,
you
dude.
before. Alright,
Yeah, so I have
the
my bow ready.
mountain of
It's kinda
flesh
choking
that
you.
is
Yeah.
Rorig with Dumbledore on his shoulders barrels towards these cultists,
You know
quickly
how
narrowing that
fucking
gap.
scary that would be? You
Like-
see a 7'5" guy
With
an elf
with a
who's-
wood
has
elf.
bow drawn on his
You're free to
shoulders.
take a shot at
Yes,
one
I
of
am
them.
free to take a shot.
But you miss as he catches your bullet like Kylo Ren. And
Of course he does.
and then turns the arrow around, throwing it into Rorig.
I'm gonna block it with my shield.
You do so. The arrow
Yeah.
thuds into the shield, completely
Metal.
shielding you from harm.
It's a metal shield.
It bounces off the shield, completely shielding you from harm.
Dumbledore throws a dagger.
Alright, it's Alex's turn when he gets back.
Alex throws.
Did I get some
His
help
life
from
away.
upstairs?
From your gamble god.
Yes.
You're under a building.
He wants me to find his book, so.
Oh, you're alone in a dark place. You think it's the afterlife, but then you hear a familiar voice.
It's Doc Holliday!
It's a horrible laughter from Doc Holliday. He comes out.
So many fourth wall
Then,
breaks in this game right now.
yeah, that's his god, is Doc Holliday. He offers you,
I know.
he simply kneels down in this weird dreamlike vision and hands you the coin. You sputter back into consciousness for a second, holding the coin in your hands. Do it.
Pills.
You're fucked. And you bugged
did
us
it.
all.
Your entrails become another attacker
entrails
and
become
start attacking
You
snakes.
you.
become the building.
Your entrails start attacking you.
Turn into snakes.
Your entrails turn into a pile of soil as you realize you're becoming a garden variety plant.
Yeah, he's
Again with this.
I mean, I'm not dying anymore, so.
You're just plants held together by those roots that you use.
We
to get
kill
really
you
nice
kill
soil.
the only man that could bring you back. The only person we know that could bring you back from vegetation to a person.
You're
I
not.
can do it.
He's not vegetarian. It's more like compost. You're just like
I mean,
a soil.
I can bring him back.
You can-
So I'm just a pile of
I have-
dirt now.
dirt person.
Anti-magic magic.
You're just
This
a
is
dirt
okay, this is
man.
true.
We just gotta make sure he
But
stays in
you
one
are able
spot.
to become
You
one
don't
with the
accidentally
dirt and slowly
leave his
shuffle
heart
your
on
way
the,
out
like,
from under
side
the
of the road or
building.
something.
So I'm just a moving pile of dirt now.
Yes. Rorik,
So
you're
without
still
all
barreling
this-
towards the cultist. On your shoulder is your little friend.
Alright.
One of
Actually,
the
it's Alex's turn.
I'm gonna use my amulet to make the cultist not able to use magic.
Does that make me back into entrails man? Because it's
They're going to attempt to resist that because they're opposing forces. And they do!
Thank you, sir.
They shatter your amulet, blowing up a portion of your hand as you
On my
grab it.
chest.
They blow a hole in your chest.
Alex, it was better before.
I can't lose my hands. That's how I make a living.
Blood is streaming from your chest. Your amulet is shattered into a bunch of tiny fragments that could be put back together because I don't want to destroy your magic item, but I just did.
I could turn it into something else because it's kind of very specific.
Well, the other issue is the giant amount of blood from the open hole in your chest.
I take it like a man and I grab a hot stick and just go.
You grab another hot stick, having not learned your lesson. Your hands
I said I
continue-
took it like a man.
Your hands continue to be burnt, as does your chest. The
Oh my
bleeding
God.
stops, but you fall out unconscious from the huge amount of pain you just sustained. You can crawl, but you're not fully unconscious, but you're definitely not in a suiting position for battle.
What's wrong with black olives?
Alright,
They have a bitter taste.
Dexter, we're running towards
What's
him.
wrong with sausage?
Dexter and Rory
Where's
are
that?
heading towards these two force-wielding cultists.
Dexter pulls out a dagger, a throwing dagger,
Dumbledore draws his throwing dagger.
and he chucks it at a spinning whirl that curves to aim right into his head.
He throws his dagger in a spinning whirl. It aims, curving towards his head. The cultist, dodging, uses the blade's momentum and a bit of magic to keep it spinning, boomeranging it back at your hands. The dagger's now flying at you.
I catch it.
It spears through your hand. There's now a dagger just straight through.
I'm like Jesus.
Yeah, so you've been 1/4 crucified. Rory, your turn. You're now upon the
Actually, 1/3.
cultists.
So 1/3, Tim? They put one. They
Is
only
it
put
only
one.
one in the 2 feet?
One,
Yeah.
two.
You've seen how I designed the shield, right?
Yeah, it's like a blade hook thing.
Unless
We're
they
gonna use
nailed
that
them a
hook
different way, if you know what I
To
mean.
stab down into like this part of one of the cultists, and then with the other one, slash the other one.
You do just that, slashing into the collarbone of one cultist, cleaving his torso into 2 pieces. The other one you quickly decapitate with a flick of the wrist. Their lifeless corpses crumple beside you.
I also throw seeds.
You have time to throw seeds on them because of how quickly you dispatched the 2 cultists. Emerging from the ground, a potted soil man
Oh, I can't
appears.
save you
Hey guys, I'm dirt now.
Skeletons pouring from the temple. They have been this whole time. Witnessing the horrors in this valley, they kind of just sit and watch and shrug and don't approach. On the other side of the town, the remaining disciples appear, gearing for battle. You recognize the cobbler with a small wooden, shoe repairing hammer, and also the masonry, who has a hammer and a tiny chisel. They look questionably about whether or not they could defeat you, and then just kind of sit.
Yeah.
What's going on with Nasu?
Oh, the energy crackling around the pit begins to die down. You hear this horrible screaming as you realize that the battle of these 2 ethereal beings has taken to a horrifying height. Shit's going down in the pit. Yo.
Like it usually does. Straight elbows.
I was gonna make that joke earlier, damn it! Fuck.
There's a bunch of people being enslaved. They're all making steel there.
And there's a guy trying to sell his new mixtape.
That would be good, Dumbledore. Dumbledore has dropped that fire.
He's
so-
just sitting there with fire in his hand. Yeah. Throwing it.
So, pretty much we're surrounded by people who are like, I don't think we could take these guys.
Yeah, everyone looks hesitant and scared.
You see a man who just
I
burnt
think it's-
himself in the chest and passed out.
Seen a man made out of dirt.
They see a beautiful siege tower of destruction that is Rorig and Dumbledore.
A wounded
So am I
Dumbledore.
like a dirt golem, or am I just like a pile of dirt that just moves around?
No, you're a dirt golem.
Oh,
You can
cool.
take human form. You're like Sandman.
So if anything,
Only
your
you can't
forms
be a
have been
man.
improved.
You can only be dirt.
You're almost a god.
So
A
can I
dirty
just
guy.
like flood people with like dirt and like just kind of overfill them?
If you touch them, yes. You could Men in Black them with dirt.
I'm gonna men in black some people with dirt.
So